Welcome back. This is your Missouri medical marijuana update for April 26, 2019. We've got some news about the current status of the medical marijuana program, what licensing has been coming in, and what to expect as we go forward and drive in for the opening of the applications. My name is Patrick Nolan. I'm an attorney licensed in the state of Missouri. This is Pat Talks Law. First, regarding the number of pre-filed application fees, there have been more than $3.47 million received by the Department of Health and Senior Services. Now that's as of April 12th. I'm sure it's a little bit higher now. 481 forms have been pre-filed. Now that includes 146 pre-filed fees for cultivation facilities, 260 pre-filed fees for dispensary facilities, and 75 pre-filed fees for marijuana-infused manufacturing facilities. Now the way this breaks down is there have been 36 applications for dispensaries in District 1. In District 2, there have been 22 applications. In District 3, 40. District 4, 30. District 5 is leading the pack with 65 pre-filed fees. District 6 has 15. District 7 has 35. And District 8 has 17. Now, what do these numbers tell us? They tell us that demand is being driven. They also tell us that there are a couple of districts where there may be a little bit more opportunity and an easier chance to get a license. You may have a better chance getting licensed in District 2, 6, and 8 than you will in the others, because those are currently under the 24 minimum dispensaries. Now, of course, that's going to change dramatically. These are only pre-filed fees, and the actual license applications won't open until August 3rd. We will get the applications available that we can start filling them out and know what the final rules are here in June. But I expect that to change a lot, but at the moment, those three districts appear to be the leaders for an easier time getting licensed. Okay, next up, let's talk about a study that was conducted by University of Missouri on the medical marijuana market. It's an economic analysis of the consumers, producers, and sellers. Now this study goes into all the previous markets. They look at medical marijuana markets that existed since 1996, beginning in California, and currently 33 states and District of Columbia as of 2018. Reliable quality data seems to be a difficult thing because in a lot of these markets that's not being collected very well. Possibly because of the illegality on the federal level. So based on the evidence, this study has found that they expect that the number of Missouri qualified patients will be approximately 19,000 in 2020, climbing to 22,500 in 2021, and 26,000 in 2022. Now this calculation actually seems to be a little bit lower than some of the others that I've heard. So I assume that their data that they've been mining is probably from a different source. One thing I have heard is that we may see by mid-2020s penetration as much as 30% of the working population will have a medical marijuana card or be marijuana users if it's thus been legalized. They are expecting that based on the average production and distribution of growers in indoor and outdoor facilities in Colorado, they have 66% confidence, which I'm going to say is going to be low, that we're going to need between 10 and 14 cultivators. Well, we're starting off with a whole lot more than that. We've got 60 cultivation licenses that will be granted. So there's going to be more than that. And according to what I'm seeing, they're saying that we're going to have twice as much cultivation capacity as we need by 2022. Now, just because a license is available doesn't mean that the cultivator is going to be up, running, or even running at full capacity. And again, they're also predicting at the same 66% confidence level that the state is going to need between the 115 and 132 dispensaries by 2022, excuse me. And that actually is low because we know that there are minimum requirements. We have 8 congressional districts and they are required to have 24. So if there are 24 potential license holders for dispensaries, the state has to grant 24 licenses. So I think that this is predicting on the low side. Now another big piece of news that's going forward is, I'm sure a lot of you have already heard, that the seed to sale tracking contract had been awarded. Now that contract had been awarded to Metric. However, Missouri-based BioTrack is opposing that because there are issues with the contract and the award. The argument is that the competitive bidding was not followed through, in that there are a number of other charges that Metric was going to pass on to license holders, both providers and consumers, that the BioTrack was not. So this creates a unique question. If there is a lawsuit on this, and there's reason to think there would be, these are multi-million-dollar contracts, that the proposals have to comply with Article 14 of the Missouri Constitution that creates our medical marijuana law, in that they can't place undue burdens upon license holders, either commercial license holders or the end user consumer license holder. Okay, that is not an acceptable situation. So one of the arguments is that that creates such a burden because Metric is requiring that the license holders purchase special RFID tags from Metric to use with Metric's equipment. That could create an issue and a cost point. Matter of fact, cost point is predicted to be $20,000 a year to a dispensary. Now, that $20,000 is going to be borne out of the fees and the money paid by the end user for cannabis. And that is going to drive the cost of that cannabis up and reduce the efficacy of this constitutional amendment at making medical marijuana affordable and available. One of the drawbacks is, if there is a lawsuit on this, and there's a lengthy lawsuit on this, we might actually see the rollout of medical marijuana slowed because we won't have the seed to sale tracking as required in place. If that happens, we could have license holders receiving licenses, we could have facilities being licensed, we could have patients receiving their medical marijuana cards and not be able to produce a single gram of marijuana because we don't have the seed to sale tracking. Hopefully this gets resolved short of a court case, and if it does go to court, hopefully it doesn't require an injunction or a stop in the process. Although I think that may well be likely if it does get stopped. They will stop Metric from providing this service until this has been fully argued. At the moment, though, they are driving forward as far as I know, and the question is going to be what will happen. So the protest was filed, and now the Office of Administration is going to have to consider what they're going to do. They have a period of time to respond. I'm hoping that this does get resolved short of the courtroom. Say it ain't so, Joe. You know, one of the next points that we have to look at is, right now there's a lot of disturbing news coming out about former Vice President Joe Biden's approach to marijuana. He was chair of the Judiciary Committee. You know, during that time he helped shape the drug policy, and there was a lot of scaremongering, criminalization, and really he helped drive a lot of the civil asset forfeiture that has come about during the past 20 plus years. This is a problem, and it's something to think about, that Joe Biden is not going to be a friend to the marijuana user. Now, he's attempted to repair some of the damage to his history, but understand, That's politics. If you look at his history over time, you can see where he stands on this issue. He's been consistent on it until he decided to run for president this time. I'm not going to tell you how to vote or what you should think, but you should definitely take a very close look at Joe Biden's newfound stance on marijuana. Kansas State University graduate student Andrew Young conducted a study. And one of the things he looked at was traffic fatalities with legalized cannabis. And what he found is that legalizing marijuana has not been found to be a statistically significant predictor of traffic fatality rates. This means that the legalization of marijuana for both medical and recreational use is not associated with either a reduction or an increase in fatalities per 100,000 vehicle miles traveled. Now, that means that the arguments that we've heard from law enforcement, from anti-marijuana groups, from the Prison Industrial Complex Society, that they're trying to scare people with saying that marijuana is going to lead to, mass deaths on the road. The statistics actually say the opposite. That's not going to happen. It's not going to make the roads any safer. It's not going to make them any more dangerous. They're just going to keep going pretty much the way they are. And when you think about it, that actually makes kind of sense, because people on marijuana are not racing down the street at 90 miles an hour. They might be tooling along at 6 miles an hour, but not 90. Generally, they have fewer traffic accidents and less serious injury. So when you look at the data, and I would encourage you to go look at the data in Kansas State University, the news that marijuana is going to be a mass death traffic killer on the highways, that's just simply not the case. Will there be accidents from people who are under the influence of marijuana and driving? Yes, there will. People will do that. Will some of those accidents be fatalities? Sure, no doubt. But would those accidents have been prevented if medical marijuana or even legalized marijuana was not legal? I don't think so. They may not be the same people, but you would still have people that would abuse an illegal substance and drive. Surely we have plenty of people that abuse a legal substance and drive. So it's my hope that we're going to see an end to that fear-mongering. And now for an update on the status of House Bill 341. House Bill 341 was voted to pass and came out of the House, and it was presented in the Senate. Now, House Bill 341 was presented in the Senate, it was read, had a second read, and it was reported and referred to the Judiciary and Civil and Criminal Justice Jurisprudence Committee. Now, what that means is it's making progress, it's working its way through the Senate. I'm hopeful that we'll have a hearing and we'll get it passed out. But at the moment, there is a very real possibility that the bill does not make it through the Senate before the legislature recesses. Thank you for watching. Please remember to like, subscribe, and hit the alert button. We have a lot more coming up, and we've got a lot of medical marijuana and First Amendment auditing, as long as general law videos coming forward. We should be seeing daily videos for about the next week or so. I apologize that they're going to be coming rapid fire, but we have a backlog, and we just got the studio working. The camera is finally connecting to the computer properly, which means I don't have to have multiple staff members on hand every time I want to shoot something. So we're going to be able to expedite this. Thank you. You have a good day.